Okay, cool, guys. Awesome. So welcome. We're going to be making Asian chicken lettuce wraps today and some sweet potato rounds, which is going to be really awesome. You should have your oven preheating. Oh, and I even forgot to do that. We have to preheat our oven to 400 degrees. That's what I'm doing right now. Okay. You need your sweet potatoes. Okay. We're using them with the skin. If you don't like the skin, you can just peel them off. I like the skin. It's going to get nice and crunchy. So if you're going to keep the skin on like I am, make sure to clean your potato really, really well so it doesn't have any dirt, and dry them. And you're also going to need a You're also going to need a baking sheet. Okay. If you don't want to clean your baking sheet after, then you're going to want to line your baking sheet with either foil or parchment paper. But the cool thing about baking sheets is that if you put your vegetables or whatever you're cooking directly onto the baking sheet with a little bit of oil, that's going to help caramelize the vegetable or whatever you're cooking much, much better. So if you want to take a little bit of time later when you're cleaning this and you want that crunch in your potatoes, then just put a little bit of cooking spray on this. But if you don't, it's totally fine. Put a piece of foil or a piece of parchment paper. I'm going to leave it just like this, and then we'll work on that in a second. I'm actually going to change to my other camera over here. Awesome. Andrew, you give me a thumbs up if you see the cutting board over here. Perfect. Thank you so much. And just one more time, if anyone just joined us, we have our oven preheating at 400 degrees. We're going to start with our sweet potatoes. And yeah, we're going to get started. Oh, and if you have a question, please just unmute yourself and ask any questions you have. All right, guys. So we're going to start with the sweet potatoes, okay? You can season your sweet potatoes with whatever you would like. But since the chicken, it has a lot of seasonings, I'm keeping the seasonings for our sweet potato very, very simple, just some salt and pepper, okay? And I'm going to cut both ends off the sweet potato, just like this. And also, a little tip that I forgot to say before, I always like to have a garbage bowl nearby so I can just dump my garbage straight into here and I don't have to go back and forth with my garbage and, you know, all the garbage. So we're just going to cut off both ends and then we're going to slice our potatoes. So if you want your rounds to be thick, then, you know, cut them a little bit thicker. They might take a little longer to cook, but that's totally fine. If you want them a little thinner and crunchier, then cut them a little smaller. I'm going to cut them about this size. It should be like 1/4 of an inch cut, but really make it your own, however you prefer. Just the thickness is going to, the thicker it is, the longer it's going to take in the oven. But you're good. You're just going to have to cook it a little bit longer. Okay, so we're cutting these into rounds. They're going to get super crunchy in the oven. You want to make sure you flatten it in a way that it doesn't, you know, cut it in a way that it doesn't, you know, roll all over the place. And that's about it. Okay, you can see that one sweet potato definitely makes a bunch of rounds. I put 2 to 4 depending on how many people are going to be eating with you. I actually think I'm only going to cut one. This seems like a lot over here. But you choose how much you want to cut. Okay. Be careful with your fingers. You don't want to cut yourself. Awesome. And again, guys, if you have any questions, just unmute yourself and ask away. Don't be shy. Alrighty, guys. So, you know what? I will cut both of my sweet potatoes. So again, we're going to do the same thing with the second sweet potato. You're just going to cut off both ends, just like that. Find a place that it stays still, sort of like that, and slice it. The thickness that you choose to have will determine how long it will cook in the oven. Just like that. Right, in our oven, while we're cutting this, our oven is preheating to 400. These are going to be delicious. So guys, if you want to season them more than I am, go for it. You can add some paprika, you could add some oregano, you could add some garlic powder, onion powder, za'atar. Really, you can add any seasoning. Of course, always put some salt and pepper and some olive oil so the seasonings stick on, but it's totally your choice. Since the chicken is going to be really nicely seasoned. I'm keeping it simple, just salt and pepper, but it's totally your call. All right, you guys. So I'm going to bring over my baking sheet. How I said it before, if you don't want to have to wash this later, make sure you line this with some parchment paper or some foil. But if you want to get really crispy and nice sweet potato rounds, I would recommend not putting anything. I'm just going to take some olive oil, drizzle it all over, and with my hand sort of spread it out. If you have some cooking spray and you don't want to dirty your hands like I am, then you can just spray some cooking spray. But you just want to make sure, if you're not going to put either foil or parchment paper in the bottom, that you put a nice coat of the olive oil or the regular oil, whichever oil you prefer to use, so the potato doesn't stick. All right? And then you're just going to arrange your sweet potatoes right on your baking sheet. These are not going to expand, so you can be really, they can be tight, right next to each other, just like this. All right, and then we're going to season both sides. And this is great if you don't end up using all of them today. Once they've cooled, you can store them in your fridge and use them during the week. Add them to your salad, have it as another side dish during the week. So if you do want to make a little extra, go for it. We're just spreading them out, trying to fit as many as possible in one baking sheet. If you have 2 baking sheets, use 2. That totally works. Alrighty, I'm going to try to fit as many as possible in one. All right, that looks about right. All right, and now I'm going to drizzle I'm actually going to use my cooking spray. But before that, I'm going to give my hands a quick wash because I have oil all over them. So you can either drizzle some olive oil on top or spray some cooking spray. I'm going to show you both options. Okay, so I have some cooking spray here, some olive oil cooking spray. All right, you can just spray some of that on that first layer like this. Or if you want to drizzle it, you can also just drizzle a little bit of olive oil on top. All of the options work. Okay, and then you're just going to get a generous pinch of salt. No measurements needed. Just a nice pinch of salt and sprinkle that all over, okay? And you kind of want to sprinkle it from high so the salt spreads all over from like a high point. Okay, perfect. And now we're going to add some black pepper and then we're going to flip them over so we can season both sides. If you wanted to put another seasoning, this would be the time. So after adding the salt and pepper, if you want, you can add some paprika, some garlic powder, onion powder, oregano, any herb that you may have. Okay, and now we're just gonna flip them over. So both sides are seasoned and coated with some olive oil, or any oil works. It doesn't have to be olive oil, it could be regular oil, like canola oil, vegetable oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, all of them work. All right, we're just gonna flip these over. And the same thing we just did on one side, we're gonna do to the other. So we're gonna drizzle some olive oil or spray some cooking spray, and then some salt and pepper. Super, super simple. And this method works really with any vegetable, right? Roasting vegetables bring out the sweetness of the vegetables. That's why I prefer to roast a vegetable instead of steaming it, for example, or boiling it. All right, so I'm just gonna use my cooking spray again. Spray the other side with some oil, sprinkle some salt and some pepper. So my oven is ready, it just dinged. So if you all preheated the oven right when you joined my class, your oven should be ready as well. We're just gonna put some black pepper and we are going to bake these. Okay, so we're gonna bake these for a total of 40 minutes. So the whole time that we're making the chicken, this will be in the oven, but I'm actually gonna flip them halfway through. So I'm gonna put them into the oven. All right, I'm gonna take these over to my oven and I'm gonna put a timer for 20 minutes. So then that gives us a reminder to flip them and then we'll put them back into the oven for another 20 minutes on the other side. Okay. Let me just give you guys a few minutes to finish up with your sweet potatoes, and we're gonna move on to our chicken. Oh wait, sorry guys. I thought it was 400. The oven is actually at 425. So just bring up the oven to 425. Don't worry that the sweet potatoes are in there. While they begin to cook, the oven will continue preheating. So don't worry about that. Just bring up the oven to 425.
Steph, ¿por cuánto tiempo?
So, vamos a cocinarlo total por 40 minutos, pero pero le queremos dar la vuelta tipo a mitad de tiempo. Minutos. Exacto. Okay. So voy a poner mi timer para 20 minutos. I'll let you guys know and then we'll flip them over and then put them for another.
Thank you.
You are super welcome. This is why I always try to have my cooking guide nearby so I remember. All right, guys. So what we're going to do now, we're going to actually turn on our stove. All right. You have your skillet on your stove. You're just going to put it on medium-low heat. All right. So our stove starts preheating while we start chopping our vegetables. All right. So I have my garbage bowl right here. We're going to start chopping our vegetables. Okay. The first vegetable we're going to chop is an onion. All right. If you want to bring a plate over, I would recommend that. I just have a plastic plate over here that I like to reuse. I'm going to put our cut vegetables here. So once we start cooking over at the stove, we just have a plate full of our chopped veggies. And now we're going to start with our onion. Okay. So the onion has two ends. All right. You have the end that looks like it has like little hairs attached to it, which is the actual stem. And then the other end. This other end, you're going to completely chop off. Okay. Throw that into your garbage bowl. And in that other end, you're going to use that as a guide and chop your onion right in half in between that stem, that side that we left on. And then you're just going to peel both sides of the onion, okay? Both of the halves, you're just going to peel it off. I even sometimes like to peel off that first layer, which is what I'm going to do now, especially if your onions aren't super fresh. Usually the first layer is the one that gets a little hard first. So just remove that first layer or just the peel. Awesome. And you're going to notice that when you cut your onion, usually the stem has a little bit of dirt and that dirt goes all over your cutting board, which I have a little bit here. So I'm just going to take my knife and clean off my knife to make sure it doesn't have any dirt with a paper towel. I'm also going to clean off both of my onion halves to make sure it doesn't have any dirt. And then lastly, I'm just going to wipe off my cutting board and we're going to dice these up. Okay. So remember that we still have our stem on. Okay. This is going to make sure that while we're chopping our onions, all of the pieces will stay intact. All right. So I'm going to hold the onion just like this. Okay. Put that little end onto your cutting board and we're going to do a few slices this way, but you're not going to cut all the way through. Just almost to the end, but you're going to make sure that it stays on. You see how that's still on? Okay, you're just going to make about 2 cuts depending how big your onion is, not all the way through. And you're going to do the same thing to the other half. This is a small onion, so I'm just going to cut it once through. Okay, and then now from that stem, okay, remember we left it on. Okay, from that stem, you're going to make a few more cuts from there all the way to the front. Okay, but you're still not cutting anything off. Everything is still intact with that little stem. All right, just like that. I'm going to do the same thing to my other half just to make the cutting process a little bit quicker. Just like that, guys. Remember that you have your stove on, okay, on medium-low heat. So once we start cooking, it's nice and hot. And now we're just going to dice, all right? Dice it up just like this. If anyone has any questions about cutting, please feel free to unmute yourself. Let me know. I'll help you. All right. And then that little end that we left on, we're just going to throw that out. We are not going to use that. We only use that right now to make sure that our onion stays intact as we dice it. All right.
That was such a good trick for cutting onions, Steph.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. All right, so if you feel like your pieces of onion are a little bit too big, okay, this is another trick. I like this size, so I'm not gonna cut it too much. But if you feel like they're too big, just pile your onion like this into a little mountain, okay? Then you're gonna take the tip of your knife, just like here, place it anywhere on your cutting board. All right, then you're gonna take your fingers from the hand that you're not cutting with, put it right on top of that tip, and then cut back and forth through your mountain of onions, just like this. And this will help you dice it a little bit finer. Okay, but how I said, mine is perfect. I don't want it too small, so I'm not gonna do it too many times. I just wanted to show you. And now I have my plate, and I'm just gonna scrape like this. I'm gonna put my plate under my cutting board and scrape the onions right off. Don't worry if your onion's making you cry. Mine's making me cry right now. All right, guys. So just put it over on one side, okay? We're gonna put the bell pepper on this cutting board as well, on this plate as well once we dice it. But you're not gonna cook the onions and the peppers together. So you just wanna separate them, but they're all gonna fit in one plate. All righty, guys. Let me just check on our oven. Perfect. It should be at 425. It's already been 5 minutes. All right, guys, now let's take our bell pepper. So you can use any color bell pepper. I'm using a yellow bell pepper. The last time I made this, I used a red bell pepper. Any color works. And what you're gonna do, you're gonna stand it up like this, okay? Put your fingers right in the middle of the stem, okay? And you're basically gonna carve around the stem to remove all of the sides. So you're just gonna cut down like this and just flip over, you know, rotate, and just keep on cutting this off, just like that, all around. And then you're gonna end up with the core completely intact, okay? And if you see like you have extra pieces here that you don't wanna throw away, you can just cut those off like I am. You can also, if you're growing or you have a compost bin, you can throw this in your compost bin, or you can just put the core into the soil and maybe something will grow, or you can just throw it out like I am because I don't have a garden, all right? And then one more thing before we start dicing, you're gonna see that your bell pepper is still gonna have a little bit of this white flesh on it, and we don't want this. We wanna take that off. So very gently, with the tip of your knife, you're sort of gonna carve out this white flesh right off, just like that. You see? Take your time, don't worry, you don't have to do it quickly, you don't wanna cut yourself. You just wanna very gently remove that inside rib. That's actually what it's called. It's called the bell pepper rib. You're just gonna take that right off. Only 2 of mine had those pieces. And now we are going to slice our bell peppers. We're actually gonna dice it, but we first need to slice them. We're gonna take all of the pieces of the bell pepper and slice them, and then we will chop them. So I'm gonna do all of the steps at the same time, like one step at a time, sorry. So I'm first gonna slice all of them. This just makes the cutting process a little bit quicker. Just like that. Awesome, guys. And I always forget to say this at the end. If you take pictures, please send them to me. Or if you put them on Instagram, tag me at Steph's Belly so I can see what you made. That would be really, really awesome. Okay, and that with today's email that you're gonna get at the end of class with the class recording, you're also gonna get the cooking guide for next week. Okay, so you wanna make sure to receive that email. And if you don't, just email me and I'll make sure that you get it. All right, guys, so I have all of my sliced bell peppers. I'm just gonna pile them up. I have them in 2 parts because it's gonna take a little, if you have too many of them, you won't dice them too well. And now you're just gonna dice them, okay? The same way we dice the onion, we're gonna dice the bell pepper. Okay, take your time. You don't want to cut yourself. Just like that. And that same trick that I showed you before, if you feel like your dices are too big, just put, you know, pile up your bell pepper, put your knife wherever you like on your cutting board, and you can go back and forth and make it into a smaller dice. Okay, now I'm just going to move this here to the side and bring over our other pile of sliced peppers and dice it up. Just like that. Awesome. Oops, a little stray one over there. And then you know how I cut a few extra pieces from the bottom? I have them in little sticks. I'm just gonna dice that up as well. Awesome, guys. And in that same plate where you have your onions, you're gonna just bring that over and add your bell peppers. But remember, we're not cooking the bell peppers and onions at the same time. So you wanna make sure to have them on separate sides of the plate. So then when we start cooking, you can just easily use whichever, vegetable we're using at its correct time. Perfect. So you see, your plate should look like this. One side you have the bell peppers, and on the other side you have the diced onions. And you're gonna see that the bell pepper releases a lot of liquid. So just take a paper towel and dry your cutting board. Alrighty, and the last vegetable we are using in this dish are water chestnuts, okay? And this is really optional. If you don't find water chestnuts or you don't have them, don't worry. They really don't have that much taste. They absorb the taste from whatever seasoning you add to it. But this is a staple in Asian cuisine. Usually when you eat stir fries or that kind of foods and you eat like a really crunchy vegetable that you think like, wait, did they forget to cook this? No, they didn't forget to cook this. Just chestnuts are really crunchy whether you cook them or not. So I just have a can of diced water chestnuts. I just opened that up and I'm just gonna go over to my sink and remove all of its liquid, okay? So you can use a strainer or you can just keep the lid on and like push it down while you remove all of that liquid, okay? And now just really softly with your knife, remove this, okay? Be careful. I've cut myself a few times with a can, so you wanna do it really gently. And these already come diced, okay? But I'm actually gonna make them a little bit finer. But if you bought the sliced ones, you're just gonna wanna dice them the same way we just diced the onions and the bell peppers. We're gonna use the whole 8-ounce can. All right, and how I said these come diced, I just wanna give it a little bit of a finer dice. So the same trick that I showed you with the onions and the bell peppers, I'm gonna use them here. I just piled up my water chestnuts. I have my knife. Just gonna place it anywhere on my cutting board and just go back and forth and give this a finer dice. Awesome, guys. So we're not gonna be using our cutting board anymore, okay? And our water chestnuts are gonna be one of the last ingredients that we're gonna be using. So just leave your water chestnuts onto your cutting board. And once we're ready to use them, you'll just, bring over your cutting board to your skillet and use that up. Okay, I'm just gonna pause for like a minute or so, make sure everyone's caught up. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm actually going to check out how you guys are doing over here. It seems like everyone's doing good. Awesome, guys. If you have a question, this is a perfect time to ask. Cool. All righty. So now we're gonna move over to our sauce. All right, so remember we have one plate with our diced onions and our diced bell peppers. Then we have our water chestnuts over here. Just leave it on your cutting board so you don't have to use another plate. And now we are going to start with our sauce. So for our sauce, let's bring our sauce over. All right, I'm gonna give it just that one reminder one more time. Make sure that your oven, your skillet is preheating to medium-low heat. So once we move over there, it's nice and hot and ready to cook. All right, guys, so yes,
Una
question.
pregunta, disculpa que lo hice después del tiempo.
Dímelo otra vez.
Una pregunta que disculpa que la hice después de
No pasa nada.
La pregunta,
Cuéntame.
Si estamos usando que si el ramen lettuce, ¿tú ya la tienes deshojada o la vamos a deshojar juntas?
Yo ya la tengo deshojada porque yo la compré deshojada. For those that speak English, she's just asking me about the lettuce, okay? Once we finish making the chicken, we will work on the lettuce. We'll remove the leaves from the lettuce and clean them together. I actually bought a lettuce that already is cleaned, so I don't really have to do that, but I will be doing it with you guys. But just hold on, we're gonna do that in a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
You are super welcome.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Hi, can we use this one from the pre-cleaned and washed ones from the store?
For sure, yeah, that's actually the one that I'm using. So you're good to go. You don't even have to clean them. if they're pre-washed, so you're good to go. Don't worry about that. Just hold on to it. You could even leave it in your fridge if you'd like, because we're not going to be using it yet, but whatever you prefer. Awesome question, Lev. Thank you. Awesome. All right, you guys. So let's go over to our sauce. Let me just change our camera over here. So in a bowl, whichever bowl, just make sure that the bowl is microwave safe. So you don't want to use a metal bowl, but it could be a plastic bowl, a glass bowl, whichever. Okay. We are going to first add in here 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. All right. I just have this little cool measuring cup. I love it. It's the full thing is 1/4 of a cup, but inside it gives you measurements for 1 tablespoon, 2, 3 tablespoons, etc. So I really love it. I'm just going to measure out 3 tablespoons of soy sauce right over here. And we're going to add all of these ingredients into one bowl. Awesome. So first we have 3 tablespoons of soy sauce right there. Then with a measuring spoon, we're going to measure out 3 tablespoons of miso paste. So this is the miso paste that I'm using. And I know many people ask me if you can use red miso paste or brown rice miso paste. You totally can. They're just a little bit stronger in flavor. So if you are using red miso paste or a miso paste that isn't white miso paste, I would recommend to start with like 1 or 2 tablespoons, try out the sauce, and then see if it needs more of that miso umami flavor that miso paste gives us. Just want to clarify that because it is a little bit stronger.
Hey, Steph.
Yes, hello, how are you?
Hey. Would it be the substitute for hoisin sauce?
Yes. So right now you're gonna be using either miso paste, hoisin sauce, or fish sauce. The 3 of them are substitutes of each other. Okay, so I'm using miso paste, but if you have fish sauce or hoisin sauce, you can use that instead.
Okay, and it was how many tablespoons?
3 tablespoons. We're adding them right now. That's my first tablespoon, and I'm just measuring out 2 more tablespoons. We're gonna add all of this into the same bowl.
Safi,
Yes, Brahi, tell me.
how much soy sauce?
3 tablespoons of soy sauce. Perfect. Awesome, guys. I love the questions. Keep them coming. Don't be shy. Awesome. So we have 3 tablespoons of soy sauce there. Now we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of rice vinegar. Okay. I always, and I've recommended this multiple times, I love putting all of my liquid ingredients into these squeegee bottles. They're really awesome. So I'm just going to measure out 1 tablespoon of rice vinegar. If you don't have rice vinegar, you can use any other vinegar, just maybe a little bit less, because rice vinegar is the least vinegary vinegar, if that makes sense. It's not too strong. It's really good. All right.
Steph, how much vinegar?
1 tablespoon.
Okay, good.
Yes. So you're welcome. So far in this bowl, guys, we have 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, 3 tablespoons of miso paste, and 1 tablespoon of rice vinegar. And then now we're going to continue. We're going to add in now, yes.
Una preguntita, si no tengo miso paste, ¿qué más puedo poner en vez de eso? ¿Qué le aumento?
So, en vez de miso paste, puedes usar hoisin sauce o fish sauce. Si no tienes ninguno de los 3, solo no lo agregues. Y si quieres, le puedes agregar un poquito más de los otros ingredientes para tener un poquito más de salsa. Pero esto es opcional. Si le da un sabor interesante, entonces sin echarlo, no va a estar igualita la salsa, pero te va a funcionar.
Okay, thanks.
Buenísimo, you're welcome. Awesome, guys. So now we have a few more ingredients to add in here. We're going to add in 1 tablespoon of peanut butter. I'm going to use the same measuring spoon, so I'm just going to take a paper towel and clean out the spoon that I'm using. We don't want our peanut butter to taste like miso paste. So I'm just going to measure out 1 tablespoon of peanut butter. If you don't have peanut butter, you can use almond butter or any other nut butter, but definitely the signature Asian flavor is definitely peanut butter. So it won't taste exactly the same, but it will still work. So if you're allergic to peanut butter, don't worry, any other nut butter works. So that was 1 tablespoon of peanut butter. Now we're gonna add in 1 tablespoon of honey to give it a little bit of sweetness. Just measuring that right out. Perfect. Awesome. Now we're going to add 2 teaspoons of sweet chili sauce. This is 100% optional, guys. It just gives it a little extra sweetness, a little bit of acidity, a little bit of spiciness. So if you have this, use it. If you don't want to use it, don't use it. If you don't have this, but you want to use it, then just add a little bit of hot sauce or a little bit of sriracha or a little bit of cayenne pepper, whatever spicy ingredient that you have, and maybe a little bit of maybe stevia or sugar to give it that sweetness. But again, it's totally optional. So if you don't have it and you don't have a substitute for it, don't even worry. We're just gonna add in 2 teaspoons of that in here. Just measure that out. That's 1, 2. All right, we're almost done here, guys. Now we're gonna add in 1 teaspoon of sesame oil.
If you use sriracha, how much sriracha to sugar type of ratio?
I would say equal amounts. So it's not, because the sweet chili, if you ever tried it, it's not too spicy. It's a little more sweet than spicy.
Right.
So yeah, definitely equal amounts. You could even add a little bit more of, like if you're mixing it in another bowl, add like a splash of that rice vinegar. So it makes it a little bit more liquidy and it's not too pasty.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. All right, guys. We're gonna check on our sweet potatoes right when we finish with the sauce. What, sorry?
What was the last ingredient?
We just added sweet chili sauce. It was this one. It was 2 teaspoons, but it's optional. So if you don't have it, don't worry, okay? Now we're gonna add in 1 teaspoon of sesame oil. We're almost done here with the sauce, guys. And then now comes in the ground ginger and the garlic powder. So if you don't have ground ginger, I said at the beginning, you can just use regular ginger. Make sure you grate it nice and finely. We're gonna be adding 1/4 of a teaspoon of ground ginger. It's really not too much. Okay, 1/4 of a teaspoon of ground ginger and 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder or granulated garlic. Both of them work. Just like that. And that's it, guys. So I'm just gonna recap one more time the ingredients that we have in the sauce in case anyone is a little bit behind. In this bowl here, we have 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, 3 tablespoons of miso paste, 1 tablespoon of rice vinegar, 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, 1 tablespoon of honey, 2 teaspoons of sweet chili sauce, that again, it's optional. If you don't have it, don't worry. 1 teaspoon of sesame oil, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger. Okay, guys? This is gonna go straight into our microwave for 1 minute so the peanut butter gets soft and we can mix everything together, okay? And in this minute, we're gonna take out our sweet potato rounds, okay? They've been in the oven for 20 minutes. I'm just gonna bring that over to us. We're just gonna flip them over and put them back into the oven. Let me bring that over here.
Hey, Steph, I missed the last part. You said to put this in the microwave for a minute?
Yes, for 1 minute, just to soften the peanut butter so it's easy to mix everything together. All right, guys, so here are our sweet potatoes, all right? They've been in there for 20 minutes. I'm just gonna take some tongs, but any utensil works, and we're just gonna flip these over very gently because they're already semi-cooked. You don't want them to break. Just flip them over so both sides get crunchy and caramelized. Awesome, and that microwave should be beeping. Once we finish flipping our sweet potatoes, we're gonna put them right back into the oven for their last 20 to 25 minutes. We'll keep an eye on it. Always remember when you see a recipe and you see the temperature of the oven, of course use that temperature, but always try to keep an eye at the end of the time because every oven is different. So maybe if for me it'll take 40 minutes, so maybe your oven is stronger, so it'll take you 35 minutes, or it's a little weaker, it'll take 50 minutes, so it depends. All right, so once you finish flipping these over, we're gonna put them straight back into the oven. Awesome. All right, you wanna take out your sauce from the microwave. So I'm gonna go put this into the oven and bring back our sauce. Put our timer over here. Perfect. Alrighty. And here is our sauce. We're just gonna whisk this together with a whisk or with a fork, whatever you prefer, and just mix it up really, really well. And this is a good time to try this, guys, okay? So if you didn't use miso paste, if you were the person that asked about the miso paste, make sure to try it now and see if it has, you know, a good taste, if you want to add any more of the other ingredients. Okay, and you want this to be thick, guys, okay? Don't add any liquid to this. You want it nice and thick. I'm just gonna give it a taste to make sure it's good. Yummy, perfect.
It's supposed to be like super salty, even though I use like reduced sodium paste.
It's gonna be salty because of the miso paste. Which miso did you use?
I used reduced sodium, so it's.
But was it white? Let me see, show me. Okay, so yeah, it will be salty just once we start cooking. Whenever I add salt, which we will for the onions, for example, don't use too much salt, and then it won't be too salty, yeah. All right, guys, so give me 1 second. I'm just gonna pause the camera here. I'm gonna move it over. How do I turn this off? Oh, stop video. All right, guys, we're going over to the skillet. All right, we're gonna add some olive oil or any kind of oil, and we're gonna add our onions first. All righty. Here we go. I think that looks good. Perfect. All right, guys, so this is, it was on medium low, so I'm gonna bring it up to medium heat, all right? And I'm gonna add a good amount, about a tablespoon or so of olive oil, and I'm gonna add in our white onions, okay? First, we're gonna add in the white onions. You're gonna hear that sizzle right away because it's been preheating. Awesome. And just give it a mix, all right? And to cook these onions quickly, we're gonna add a little bit of salt, all right? So Dana, if you just wanna hold on, don't put too much salt, but the salt will help the onions soften a little bit quicker. So just a little bit, all right? Give it a nice mix, all right? And we're gonna cover this, all right? So that salt and the steam that's gonna be created right now while this is covered will quickly cook our onions, all right? So in the meantime, if you just wanna clean up your area while the onions are sweating, all right, this process that we're doing right now is called sweating your onions. They release all of their liquid and get super soft. And if you guys have any questions or you just joined us or you're a little bit behind, feel free to ask. I'm right here to help.
Steph, perdón que no escuché antes. La salsa tiene que quedar espesita, ¿verdad?
Espesita, sí. Quieres que esté espesita, no te preocupes si está muy espesa. Cuando lo vayas a cocinar y con el calor se va a como que derretir un pelín. Y si todavía está muy espesa, le vamos a echar un poquito más de vinagre, un poquito más de agua. Pero no te preocupes, quieres que esté espesa.
Ok, perfecto.
Buenísimo, de nada.
Actually,
Yes.
what if it's too liquidy, the sauce?
If it's too liquidy, let me see. Show me your sauce. Let me find you so I can see what it looks like. Did you add peanut butter, Braham?
Yeah.
So I would add a little bit more peanut butter or a little bit more miso, but if it's not, it's fine. It'll still be yummy. Just once it finishes cooking, it might be a little liquidy, but if it is, don't even worry about it, okay? Awesome. All righty, guys. Feel free to ask any questions you may have. Let's check on our onions over here. Remember, they're sweating. Let's just give it a mix because we don't want them to burn. Alrighty, and now I'm gonna add in our bell peppers, okay? And we're gonna do the same thing we just did. We're gonna mix it up and cover it with its lid so the onions will continue cooking and the bell peppers as well. Perfect, okay? Just give it a nice mix. Perfect. We're just gonna cover it for a few more minutes. Take a little drink of water, clean up your area while that's happening. If you're a little behind and you have a question, please feel free to ask. I am right here to help. Or you could just clean up like I am. This is a great time to just clean up a little bit because we're not really using our hands. That's just sauteing in there. Again, guys, thank you so much for joining today. Okay, next week, we're gonna be making something called arrayas, which is like ground beef stuffed inside a pita. We're gonna put it in the oven. It's gonna get nice and crispy. We're gonna make an Israeli salad, and we're gonna have some hummus also. It's gonna be really yummy. So tonight's email will have the recording of today's class and the cooking guide for next week's class. Okay, so from now over the summer, we're gonna be having the classes every Monday at 6 p.m. I hope you join, and if you're not able to join, don't worry. I record all of the classes, and they'll be on my YouTube account, so you can do them at another time or redo them in the future, whatever you'd like. All right, guys, let's look at our bell peppers. They're getting nice and sweated. I always love to cover my vegetables with the lid while I'm cooking. It really quickens the process of cooking them down. Just give it one more mix. Perfect. Let's give that just 2 more minutes there to soften. Perfect, guys. Again, feel free to ask any questions. Alrighty, guys, the next thing we're gonna be adding is the chicken. So if you have your chicken in your fridge, let's take that out. You can start opening up the packaging. We're gonna dump that into our onions and bell peppers in about 1 minute. I'm just gonna give this one more mix. They're super, super soft. Just gonna cover that while I open up my package. Okay, and if you guys think that you're making a lot of chicken, don't worry. Whatever leftovers you have, put them in a Ziploc bag or whatever type of storage that you have, and stick it into the freezer. And then next week or another time, you can have this again. So that's really, really nice. Make sure that whatever you're touching with your hands and the chicken, you don't touch other things. I'm just wiping down my hands. Where is my? Oh, there it is. All right, guys, so our onions and peppers have sweated. They're nice and soft. They will continue cooking now that we added the chicken, so don't worry if they're still a little hard. They will continue cooking. And I'm just gonna add a full pound of chicken right in here, just like that. Give me just 1 second to wash my hands because I touched all of that chicken. You wanna make sure to wash your hands, guys. And now with our wooden spoon, we're just gonna break the chicken down into pieces as it cooks, all right? It's gonna take about 5 to 7 minutes just to break that down. All right, so with your wooden spoon, just break it up. Incorporate the onion and the bell pepper into the chicken, and we're just gonna cook it until it's fully cooked. Awesome, guys. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And remember, this meal, you can really use any vegetables. Right here, we're using onions, peppers, and the chestnuts, but you can use mushrooms, you can use zucchini, you can use squash. Really, as long as you have that yummy sauce that we made, whatever else you add to this, it's gonna be delicious. So it's just gonna absorb all of that delicious sauce, and it's gonna be perfect. So just in the future, if you wanna make this again, but you don't have these exact ingredients, don't worry about it. Really always make it your own. It always turns out delicious regardless. Awesome, guys. So you really wanna try to break down the pieces. All right, you see how I'm just using the back of my spoon? Sort of hold on to it like you would be holding onto like a fork, not a fork, a pencil, and sort of just pat that down. Make sure the onions and the peppers get incorporated into the chicken. I'm just gonna take a peek into the sweet potatoes. They look super, super good. If you wanna take a peek at yours just to make sure that it's not burning or anything, that's a great idea. Awesome, just break down that chicken. have any questions, totally feel free to ask, guys. All right, I'm just gonna go over there to the computer to see how everyone's doing. Looking at your cameras. Looks like everyone's good. Cooking over here, awesome, awesome. All righty. And just keep on breaking this up, all right? You don't want that to be too chunky, because remember, you're gonna be filling your lettuce wraps with them, so you do want them to be into small pieces. But again, this is your meal, so if you want them to be in bigger pieces, go for it. Our main goal right now is just to fully cook the chicken, and if it is in small pieces, it will cook much quicker. Awesome, guys. All right, so you want to bring close, try to bring close the chestnuts, the water chestnuts. We're going to add that in about 2 minutes once the chicken is done. And then we're going to add the sauce. And then we're almost finished over here, guys. So really, if you don't make the sweet potatoes, just the chicken is basically done in like 30 minutes. So it's a really quick and awesome meal to make. But of course, yes, go for it.
Sorry, I missed this part. How much chicken should we put in?
So I put just 1 package of ground chicken. It was about a pound. So yeah, you can just add a package in there.
Okay, thank you.
And you're good to go. You're welcome.
Do you have a lot of water in your pan?
I don't, but if you do, I would just wait for it to completely evaporate before adding the sauce, Betty, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes it depends where you buy your chicken or what kind of chicken it is. Sometimes it does, you know, give out a little bit of liquid, but if that's the case, just don't cover it again. Leave it open like this, and you might even want to bring up the heat a little bit and let all of the liquid evaporate before you add, or the majority of the liquid to evaporate before you add in the sauce. Because you don't want that liquid to then be part of the sauce, and then it'll be too hard to evaporate, and then you're gonna get like that chickeny taste to the sauce. So I would definitely recommend to let it evaporate. All right, guys, so my chicken is basically cooked. I'm just breaking it down a little bit more. I'm gonna add in the water chestnuts, so just bring that over. We're gonna add all of that in here. Okay, give that a nice mix. And while you mix it, you can continue sort of breaking down the chicken as you mix in the water chestnuts. The water chestnuts are already basically cooked, okay? So they will continue cooking once we add the sauce and we let it simmer, but they don't need to cook as much as the onions and the bell peppers and of course the chicken. The chicken is the main thing you wanna fully cook here, guys. You never wanna eat raw chicken. All right, guys, so this is looking great. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, so I just wanna make sure the pieces are bite-sized. And now we're gonna add in our sauce. So just bring over your sauce. If it's thick like mine, you might even wanna use a spatula to make sure that all of that sauce is added. So we have our sauce here. Okay, and I'm just gonna scrape all of that down. You don't wanna lose any of this goodness. You wanna add it all into the chicken, just like that. Perfect. And now we're just gonna mix this, guys. Mix this really well for everything to be combined. Then we're gonna let it steam and simmer actually for about 5 minutes while we clean our lettuces. So you're basically gonna mix this until everything looks brown, right? Because we have that miso paste and the peanut butter, which makes the sauce brown. You just wanna fully mix this really well until everything is perfectly incorporated.
Steph, is that all the sauce with the peanut butter, the soy sauce, and everything?
Yes, add it all in here. Perfect. So Betty, you see that mine is a little bit liquidy now because of the sauce. So if yours is as much as mine, you're good to go. But if you do want to wait and let that previous liquid evaporate, I definitely recommend you to do that.
Did you put all of your sauce in?
All of the sauce, guys. Everything that we mixed in the bowl before, you're gonna add everything in. Unless you're making less chicken and less vegetables, of course you're not gonna use the whole sauce. But if you're using the exact amounts that we've been using, like the pound of chicken and the whole pepper, then you're gonna use the whole sauce. Awesome, guys. All right. Wait, guys, I see someone unmuted here. I'm just gonna mute everyone. Perfect. Awesome. All right, guys. So this is ready. Well, not ready 100%. We're just gonna give this one last mix. Okay, and I'm gonna cover this with my lid, and I'm gonna bring the heat down to a medium low. All right, and we're just gonna let this. So my oven has 5 more minutes on it, and we want this to simmer for exactly 5 minutes as well. So while the oven finishes and this simmers, I'm just gonna, let me turn off this camera 1 second. I'm gonna take you guys back to where the cutting board was. And now we're gonna work on our lettuce. All righty. Perfect, guys. So if you bought one that's already ready like mine, then you're almost good to go. You're just gonna, you know, stuff the veggies, the lettuce with the chicken, okay? But if you bought a whole head of lettuce, you're just going to very gently remove all of the leaves, okay? And then you're gonna take a paper towel, just like this one, okay? Regular kitchen paper towel. You're gonna wet it a little bit, not too much. You're gonna squeeze out the extra liquid, so you have a damp paper towel like this one, all right? And then all of those lettuce leaves that you're removing from the core, you're just gonna wipe it off with that damp paper towel, So how I told you, I already bought one that came, you know, chopped and and cleaned, but it sometimes does have a little bit of imperfection. So I just have my garbage bowl right there to take off those imperfections. And with my damp paper towel, I'm just gonna clean this off to make sure, this is kind of now like 2, to make sure it's perfectly clean. I'm actually gonna take my plate. So I don't suggest to stuff all of the lettuce now, okay? I recommend you to serve these on separate plates. So 1 plate with the lettuce, and then 1 plate with the chicken. And as everyone's eating, they can just serve themselves, because then the lettuce will get really soggy. All right, so right now you're just cleaning them. So take each leaf one at a time and just clean it off, okay? But if you do have a whole head of lettuce, just very gently remove the lettuce from the core, okay? With your hands. It shouldn't be too hard. If you have a question, totally ask me. But once you take it off, you're just gonna have pieces of lettuce, and then with a damp paper towel, you're just gonna clean it off. So any dirt or whatever can be on the lettuce will be removed, right? And if you see any imperfections, you see like this, it's a little burnt. This sometimes happens when your fridge is very cold. It sort of burns the lettuce. You can just rip that right off, right? And we're just gonna clean all of our lettuce and put it on our paper right over there. Sorry, on our plate, not our paper. And really, guys, we're almost done. Once the chicken finishes, it has about 2 more minutes over there, and the sweet potatoes are almost done as well. Dinner will be ready. Okay, so I'm just gonna say this one more time. Tonight, in tonight's email, you will receive the recording of today's class and the cooking guide for next week. All right, so we're gonna be meeting every Monday at 6 p.m. And after every class, you will receive the recording and the cooking guide for the following week. So next week, we're gonna be making arrayas, which is basically pita bread stuffed with deliciously seasoned ground beef or ground lamb or whatever protein you choose to use. It's very Middle Eastern. And then we're gonna make a very simple Israeli salad. And then I'm gonna show you how to fancy up your store-bought hummus just to make it a little extra special. And that dinner is also gonna be delicious. And it's also very quick and easy to make like tonight. All right, guys, so my oven has just about a minute left. I'm just gonna continue cleaning the lettuce until that timer rings. And if you don't use all of the lettuce tonight, guys, a little trick I'm gonna give you, just take a really big piece of paper towel, okay? Damp it the same way we just damped this piece of paper towel. So you're just gonna wet it and squeeze out the extra liquid. Then you're gonna open up the paper towel. I'm actually gonna show you. I'm not gonna wet the paper towel, but imagine this was damp, right? You'll add all of the lettuce that you don't use. You just put it in here and then wrap it up. And then wrap this in plastic wrap or in a Ziploc bag or whatever. And this will help your lettuce last a little bit longer, because since the paper towel will be damp, of course this one isn't, but if you damp the paper towel, that little bit of wetness from the paper towel will help your lettuce last a little bit longer. So that's a good tip if you have a leftover lettuce. All right, guys, so let me bring over the sweet potatoes. I want you guys to see them. We are really almost done. If anyone is a little bit behind, feel free to ask. I'm gonna stay here until everyone's done. So if you do take a little bit longer, don't worry. Oh my gosh. My sweet potatoes burnt, guys. So you see, this is why you have to keep an eye on your sweet potatoes. But many of them are still salvageable, so don't worry. And I have leftovers, so I'm gonna cook this again. But this is again why you always wanna keep an eye on your oven. I'm just gonna remove, you see? These are perfect. So the ones that are a little bit smaller, you do wanna keep them for less time. You see, this is a great thing about the kitchen. You always learn something new every day. So I'm just gonna use the ones that I can, and the rest, oh, let me see yours. Andrew, let's see, I'm gonna spotlight you. Yours look amazing, you see? So again, every oven is different. So you always wanna keep an eye on it, make sure that it's good. This time it was just a little too hot, but no problem. I'm gonna make a few more sweet potatoes. This is always a trial and error, guys. I cook almost every single day and we always make mistakes. So don't beat yourself down. Just tell yourself that it's gonna be okay and keep on trying the next time. All right, guys, and now I'm gonna bring over our chicken, which is also ready. Okay, let me just bring that over. Give me 1 second. Awesome. There it is, looking good. So you see it's very saucy. That's how I like it. So if you do want it to be a little thicker, if you don't want it to be too saucy, then remove the lid. Oh wait, let me show I don't think I'm showing myself. Give me 1 second. Over here. All right, guys. So you see it's a little bit saucy. That's the way I like it. I like all that extra juice. And once it cools down, it does thicken a little bit. Okay, but if you don't want it to be this saucy, just remove the lid and cook it for about 3, 4, 5 more minutes, and that extra liquid will absorb. But I personally love it like this. And you could even use like a spoon that has a little bit of holes so that it removes the liquid. But again, this is delicious, guys, so I wouldn't remove it. But if you want, that's what you can do. And I'm just gonna show you how one of the lettuce wraps will look. Again, guys, I recommend you to serve these separately, okay? And just while you're eating it, you and your family can just take a lettuce and make your own. All right, so let me just show you how the final product is gonna look. Let me just move this a little bit back. Perfect, so I have my plate over here. I'm gonna take one lettuce. I'm gonna make a small one because we're not having dinner yet. All right, I have one of my lettuce wraps right here. You can use just your wooden spoon. I'm gonna spoon a little bit of my chicken right into my wrap. Of course, if you don't want to use lettuce, you could have just use a regular tortilla wrap or corn tortilla, whatever you prefer. You want this to look really nice. So let me just take that right off. All right, so that's gonna be right there. I'm gonna bring over a few of my sweet potato rounds. Alrighty, and that's about it, guys. Dinner is ready. It's gonna be delicious. That's exactly how it should look. Just like this. Awesome, I see a round of applause. If anyone wants to show what they're doing, I'm gonna